Hi everyone, I'm Melanie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to explain the terminology you need to know about the world of high ticket sales. So I decided to make this video because many times when you step into the world of high ticket sales, and especially when you start looking for a job opportunity in this industry, it's really important to know the terminology. And it's important to know because the company itself, even before hiring you in a role, whether it's a setter or a closer role, also will check if you know the basic terms. But before I start with this video, let me introduce myself. I'm Melanie Nawis, and in just over a year and a half, I went from working to a 9 to 5 job in Dubai, stressed out from my work and without the possibility of having free time for myself, for my passions, for even traveling, to earning over $20K in commissions in a single month. Now, let's get started with the video. First of all, I want to explain what high ticket sales is, which is also the first terminology we are going to cover in this video. If you don't already know, high ticket sales is simply a job that works like this. Basically, what you need to know is that online companies, especially companies that sell services, coaching, programs, agencies, courses, etc., they sell high ticket services. So these companies do the marketing, so maybe they have virality on social media channels, or maybe they run advertising campaigns directly to attract potential clients. And here is what you need to know. These companies have dozens, hundreds of potential clients, or as we call them, leads, every single day. A lead is simply a potential customer who has shown interest in the company's service. So, for example, someone who clicked on an ad, filled out a form, or sent a message on social media. These are your leads. And what you have to do is talk to these leads, answer their last questions before they purchase, close the sale, and then receive your commission. I also invite you to watch my last video where I explain exactly what are the 3 ways to earn in high ticket sales space. So DM setting, phone setting, and closing. But very simply, just think of it this way. These companies set and get tons of leads every single day. They sell high ticket offers. Your job is to talk to people who are already interested, close the sale, and earn a percentage. And obviously, you can imagine for yourself that it's a very high percentage, being around 10% commission on services of $3K, $4K. So we are talking about $300, $400 per single sale. So now let's move on to terminology in the world of high ticket sales. First of all, we are going to look at the 4 main professions and roles that exist in the world of high ticket sales. So DM setter is the first one. The person who book appointment by managing the messages that the company or entrepreneurs receives. So they're working directly in Instagram DMs, Facebook messages, or other social platforms, responding to leads and booking them onto calls. The second is the phone setter, the person who calls the leads directly and books appointment for the closer. Phone setters make sure qualification calls, usually 10-15 minutes, to make sure the lead is serious and ready for a sales conversation. Then we have the role of triage. It's not a super common role, but especially in recent years, it's been developing. It's basically the same role as a phone setter, with the only difference being that they do setting call on a video call. Not a normal phone call, but through a video call that can happen on Zoom or Google Meet. Finally, we have the most crucial role in the world of high ticket sales, which is the high ticket closer, or more simply the closer. Many times they are also called sales rep, which means sales representative, but in this video we'll call them simply closer for simplicity. What does the closer do? So the closer handles the most important part, which is closing the sale. So they work mainly on video calls, always on Google Meet or Zoom, and they guide the customer through the purchase to close the sale and then receive their commission. I want to point out that obviously all these sales roles are 100% remote. In my program, by the way, I have many women who come from Europe, from the UK, from the US. So it's something you can do from anywhere in the world. Now that we have covered the role terminology, what can definitely help you, especially at the beginning when you are interfacing with companies for your first interviews and first contacts to start working in high-ticket sales, is understanding KPIs. So in the world of high-ticket sales, KPIs are extremely important parameters. If, for example, in an interview, the business owner or the sales manager sees that maybe you don't know this terminology, you definitely lose points. This is exactly why I'm inviting you to listen to this video until the end, because you can learn all these terms that will then help you increase your chances of being hired by the company you're looking for. So the first terminology to learn is KPI, which stands for Key Performance Indicator. What are KPIs? So KPIs are simply, as the word says, indicators regarding the performance that you have as a closer. So let's go through some practical examples of KPIs. Definitely the first KPI for a closer in general, is the conversion rate, or how many people you manage to close compared to the people you actually spoke with. So, for example, let's say you do 10 appointments and you close 5 people. There you have a 50% conversion rate. This is probably the most important metric for any closer, because it directly shows how effective you are turning leads into paying clients. Another important metric along with the conversion rate is the show up rate. Basically the percentage of people who actually attend the call. If, for example, we are talking about an appointment that maybe the company assigns you and 8 of these appointments show up, your show up rate will be 80%. So these are more or less the initial data, the 2 initial KPIs that you need to know for the world of high-ticket sales. Next, we have the average order value. This is simply the average transaction that a customer has with a specific closer. Let's make an example. Let's say we're selling a program for $3,000 and you as a closer close 3 clients. So for a total of $9,000. But many times what happens is that not everyone pays full 3,000 upfront. Maybe they pay in 2 installments of 1,500 each. So let's imagine the situation where you close 3 people at 3,000, one pays in full and the other 2 pay with 2 installment plans. So the revenue is 9,000, but the actual cash collected is 6,000. Very, very simple. Now, what is the AOV? Average order value. In this case, is calculated with the cash collected, which is 6,000 divided by the number of clients. So 6,000 divided 3 equals 2,000. This is simply average order value. These are the most important parameters that a closer needs to know and monitor. Now, let's also look at some KPIs and terminology that relate to the company in general. So definitely an important KPI, so an important terminology to keep in mind is OTE, which stands for on target earnings. This is how much on average a specific closer, setter, or DM setter earns at that particular company. So for example, if you're applying to a company that has a very low OTE, maybe $1,000 to $2,000, it means that on average the setters at that company earn $1,000 to $2,000. My advice, obviously, is to know this data and also ask the company directly what their OTE is, so that you are sure that the company aligns completely with your goals. If you're serious about making 5K to 10K per month or more, you want to work with a company where the average earner is hitting those numbers. Now, another piece of company level data and terminology you need to know is a CRM. What is a CRM? A CRM is simply a management system, a software that the company uses to manage leads and potential clients. So obviously when a potential client comes from for example, an advertising and leaves their data, this data will be automatically inserted into this management system. And you, as a setter or as a closer, will need to fill out reports in this system that will help the company understand how you are performing. But primarily, it will help you understand how you're doing, so you can obviously improve more and more. So, for example, the advice I can give you is that maybe in an interview when they ask you, have you ever worked with CRM? My advice is to prepare yourself. Know the main CRMs. Many companies use simply Google Docs, or it could be Salesforce, or it could be Go High Level or HubSpot. My advice is to go and inform yourself about these CRMs, because if they ask you, you will be prepared regarding this terminology as well. So at this point, what I can tell you is one last final thing, which is definitely terminology that can always help you in interviews, understanding the difference between revenue and cash collected. So going back to the earlier example, if we close 3 people at $3,000 each, the total revenue is $9,000. Revenue is the total amount sold, but the cash collected is $6,000 because one person paid in full and two person paid $1,500 as a first payment. Regarding this part, another terminology that's very commonly used is PIF, which stands for paid in full. So for example, if we are selling a package at $3,000 and the person pays $3,000 right away, that person has paid in full. This is really important because many companies will pay you higher commissions on PIFs versus payments plans. So you want to understand this distinction. So these are the main terminologies. Obviously, there are many others in the world of high-ticket sales, but I hope with this video I've given you a greater advantage. Even if we went much more technical in this video, these are definitely tips that can really help you, and most important, can prevent unpleasant situation where maybe you are applying to a company and doing the application, and maybe because of not knowing these terms, you come across as a bit unprepared. So that's all for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I also invite you to click down below where you can find my Instagram profile and ask me any kind of question. And down below, you can also find a link where you can schedule a call with me to start working directly together to reach your goal. So that's all for this video. See you in the next one.